Hello, I'm Tan the Tan BOTC channel. Now, before we get into this, I did get some more comic books while I was out. Once again, these were like $1, and I've been trying to build like my Iron Man and Spider-Man collection. By the way, my friend got a bunch of the Jack of Hearts comics, so I thought it would be funny if I got that. I need to get sleeves for some of these because they didn't have sleeves to put these in. So I got some more Spider-Man. These ones led up to the Lizard. They had a bunch of copies of these too. So I picked out what looked like it was in best condition. Sadly, a second issue, but I mean, not a problem. And these were off as well. Just the first and then the 6th issue. Nice big healthy book though. Big books for just $1 each. But yeah. Anyways, I brought this boy here because I wanted to talk about, I did a movie review on Matilda, and I have watched like all 3 of the Nosferatu remake. There's also the one with Willem Dafoe. I haven't seen that one yet though, but I should seek that one out. But I have watched this thanks to Tubi as well as the remake, the first remake, and I've seen the second remake when it was in, or yeah, the second remake. I think it's the second in theaters. There might be others. I think I watched one that had the guy who plays a lot of characters in Guillermo del Toro, especially fish-related characters in Guillermo del Toro movies. I'm forgetting his name though, but he also played Nosferatu in a remake that's on there. But I mostly wanted to focus on this, and mostly because of the designs of the characters. I thought about it for a while, and I like the director who did the newer Nosferatu movie. But I have problems with the new one. And I know this is old and like this is something I should have talked about a long time ago, honestly. But hey, why not? I didn't think the movie was bad. I thought the cinematography was good. They tried to have a good story and characters, great performances. Of course, Willem Dafoe's in it again, ironically speaking, as he did play Nosferatu at one point. But I don't know. This felt like the new one felt too try hard for like Oscar bait and such. And it's weird how back in the days we used to have critics who criticized and hated horror movies, and nowadays they praise the hell out of them. We see this with Weapons. We see this with Nosferatu. See this with quite a few horror movies nowadays. Not every single one, like the Silent Return of Silent Hill. That one wasn't great. But we see a lot of this praise for these like movies that clearly are trying harder than usual and trying to be like masterpieces of art, works of art. And I love Bill Skarsgård. I think he would be perfect as Nosferatu. I like the original better. Even kind of the remake. The atmosphere is much more subtle, but also gets more under your skin in those ones. The only probably unsubtle thing is maybe Nosferatu himself trying to hide under like a hat, that big hat he wears, or something like that. Looking at the designs of the new Nosferatu next to the old one, I prefer the old one. Not just because it's like iconic, but it feels more like a guy that's been dead for centuries and is kind of looks more monstrous, looks like he's kind of drying up and all that crap. Where why does the new one have to have that? Like, I even showed a picture of a guy that had, ironically, from Fallout 3, had the mustache and that same, like, combed on the one side haircut. or the haircut style that you also see in Cyberpunk, where it's the hair swooped over on one side and the rest of it's shaved. It's like, why does he have that? It's so stupid. And the mustache is a bit too much, too. He should have just been bald. And by the way, people argue that, like, oh, but Count and they use this in some of their videos, oh, but Count Dracula had a mustache in the original source material. This isn't Count Dracula, though. This is supposed to be Nosferatu slash Count Orlok. This isn't Count Dracula. If you were going to do that, you wouldn't have called it a Nosferatu remake or Nosferatu in general. You would have had it been Count Dracula. But no. And there's already two technically Dracula remakes that have a Dracula with a mustache. One I just watched today as well, called Count Dracula with Christopher Lee, and the Bram Stoker's Dracula, even though he looks more dried up, ironically, and has a really dumb butthead haircut. The Gary Oldman one, under all that ridiculous makeup. But yeah, I never got that. And when I looked at the designs, especially when you look at the designs, ironically, of the Funko Pop next to each other, of the new and old, it's got that almost similar problem that the new designs of the Transformers and Michael Bay's had, where they just added too much to the character design. It's overly complicated now instead of simplistic and iconic even. Like, you look at the new Optimus Prime or Megatron, and then you look at the ones from the original. Like, it just comes across a lot stronger, the simplicity of its design. And I think the same problem comes across with having to add the background of the character, and the clothing has to be specified for where he came from and such. I don't know. It's an interesting touch, but it's not necessary. I even feel like a lot of the iconic scenes they try to do are a bit strange, like the door scene. Why does he have the two dogs with him? Why does he need two dogs? Shouldn't he be intimidating on his own? I just find rewatching the original, it's kind of got that effect that the original Silent Hill game does on PS1. It's kind of like a VCR copy of the Ring movie, where it's like, it's a lot scarier on that older quality. And there's kind of that same effect I'm getting from this, where the new Nosferatu is much more try-hard. And honestly, the makeup for the time for this dude, who is Max Schreck in the original, is honestly creeps me out a lot more. There are some genuinely creepy scenes with him. The shadow work, especially near the end, I love that stuff. And him coming through the doorway or him rising from his coffin. There's just a bunch of scenes I find a lot more creepy with this design of the original Nosferatu. And yeah, like, I just find the new one tries too hard. It even feels like it tries to do cliches of other horror movies. Like, there's a seance in it. It feels like it comes out of some sort of freaking demon or paranormal movie. And then you even got like the possession scene. It's like, it's trying too hard to be like other horror movies that it's just not, in my opinion. Once again, these are things I should have complained about before, but I didn't think about doing this stuff until I did the Matilda movie thing, and I thought, hey, I'd have a lot more material talking about this than that. And yeah, I thought I'd add mine. I still think it's a good movie. It's not a terrible movie at all, just saying that stuff. I just prefer the original, ironically. And I think it's actually coming back to theaters in a couple months, so keep an eye out for that. And I'm gonna see it. I don't care. I would like to see it on the big screen, how it comes across. I know it's a silent movie and it's not gonna get everybody. Not everybody's gonna be on board for it. But yeah, I think it came out pretty well for the time that it did. And it went through a lot back then. It almost got completely destroyed by Bram Stoker's wife, even, in a legal pursuit. And then there's the other remake that has Krinsky. What is his name? I actually found out he's in two Nosferatus and he's in the Count Dracula movie. He's ironically in a lot of Dracula or vampire related movies. Of course, he's also in Fistful of, or For a Few Dollars More, the Fistful of Dollars sequel. A couple other films that I've seen Brandon Tenold talk about as well. And by the way, I'm still trying to get over my sore throat, and I've even got kind of a cold. So if you're wondering where I am, I'm still kind of recovering. I don't know if my voice is going to be up to doing some streams if you're wondering where I am, but I'll try and do some soon. I want to do some really badly, and but I just need the rest, and I've been trying to get whatever videos I can out there. But yeah, I thought of this one. I wanted to do this one, and so I am. And with the Nosferatu remake, I do think it is overly silly when you see, like, in the original, it's a lot harder to make out because of the visual quality, the stranger features of Nosferatu. So you kind of, just because of that, buy that he doesn't immediately see him as a vampire. But in the remake, I will say it is a little sillier, as you can clearly tell. Like, why isn't the guy noticing the giant claw fingers or the teeth, the pointed ears and such? It's still a good performance, and it's still a movie that lives up much more to the original style of the original Nosferatu, and it actually ages well by using the whole rat plague, almost kind of reminiscent of like today's like COVID equivalent of COVID. So it ironically does kind of age well with the utilization of the plot of like the plague that haunts the city and is killing people. But yeah, and I think like the makeup, obviousness and silliness aside, is actually pretty good nonetheless. But the original is probably my favorite of the three movies. And then I would say the first remake second, and then the third remake third. I'd have to think about that director's other movies, because I feel like there are other movies by that director I like better than Nosferatu. I just think it was a little overrated and overhyped. But yeah. How would I rate a movie like this, though? It's not a movie I watch a whole lot. Like, other than like Charlie Chaplin movies, there's only four movies I think are genuinely like ones I would rewatch or love just because of their atmosphere they have, and the cast that plays the main characters are so good, and the makeup. Like The Laughing Man, I love that movie because it's responsible for the Joker designs, as well as it's a genuinely good story and movie for that time. And then you got Metropolis, which is a very famous kind of sci-fi city movie, whatever. And then you got Phantom of the Opera, obviously. I actually watched that one recently too, because I was watching some Phantom of the Opera. I hate the remake of that. Can't remember who's in it, but it was a more recent, almost like musical version, and that one was so dumb. I don't even remember much from it, honestly. It's that forgettable. I just remember I dislike it incredibly. But yeah, and I'm sorry for boring you with my background or whatever, but yeah, I love this movie. I think, what would I give it? It's not a movie everybody's gonna get into, and I hate the stupid. I was watching Frostbreak. I hate the unk slop thing. This would be great grand slop. Yeah, I like it, and I'm like in my early 30s. Yet I have toys. Especially, what YouTuber doesn't freaking have Funko Pop for some reason? The only reason I like more the recent Funko Pops, if anything, because they actually are well designed now, where a lot of the earlier ones I hate. They look stupid. Also, another thing I have to say is make more Funko Pops with mouths, please. I just noticed that's a design flaw I hate in a lot of the other Funko Pops, or at least have something going on down here. But yeah, I'd give it like an 8.2 out of 10. If I said the remake, I'd give that an 8. And then the newer one would be like a 7.7 out of 10, the newest remake. I don't know. I'm not as much a fan of that one. They tried way too hard. Um, Stick to Pennywise. Or at least get a better design for the character. I don't know. I did not care for the design of him. I always found it stupid, over the top. But that's pretty much it. That's about it. See ya. And you have an awesome day. Bye, Jimmy's mom. She's even trying to do that kind of freaking hurts my throat. But nonetheless, I hope you have a awesome day. I will see you next time. Say goodbye to Nosferatu. He's been flickering the lights.